Thank you. Thanks so much, Stacy, and thank you so much, all of you, for being here today. It is just fabulous to have this group together. I know many of you came very long distances, driving many hours, waking up at early hours, catching flights from Shreveport through Dallas to get here. And just to have this group of people in this room today really means a lot, because we know also this is an incredibly busy time of year with the end of school. We were just talking graduation, right? It's just a couple weeks away, and some people are escaping in order to be here today, and especially our young people who are sharing their perspective and their views, and really for us to be able to listen and to learn from each other. But I really want to give a very special welcome to those who have been working on this program for some time, and particularly to our young people who you've seen here, and you're going to get to see in a couple minutes in the video. And of course, we couldn't have done all this work over the last 2 years with all of you if it were not for BHP, and just thrilled that we had their support in the partnership, because that public-private partnership, which we're going to talk quite a bit about today, is absolutely essential for the work that all of us I know are doing in rural America. And if we say, so, you know, a little bit of a scene setter for many people who I know these statistics in this room, but we are live streaming this event. We will be curating the material to really use your voices in order to impact and reach broader audiences. And so the scene setter about why we care about rural America. I mean, obviously it's something that's dominating the national dialogue right now, but there are real reasons we need to be focusing on these parts of our communities. You know, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the definition of rural areas is fewer than 50,000 residents. And that's a huge part of our community, of our country. But also, more than 2/3 of the nation's counties are rural. 2/3. 75% of the land is rural, and 17% of the national population is rural. But probably the statistic that startled me the most was that when you look at rural and urban poverty rates, rural poverty rates are higher than urban areas. So if we are not focusing on the rural areas in this country, then we're not addressing the underlying causes of poverty in this country. And for us at the International Youth Foundation, it's really about going to where the challenges are. You not waiting for them to come to us, but when we had the opportunity to partner with the BHP coming out, and I was just talking to someone who said, all of a sudden I was contacted by your organization on LinkedIn, and I normally ignore those types of messages, but there was something intriguing about this global organization that wanted to come and work in rural Texas. And I think that sort of defines a little bit of the International Youth Foundation is we want to be where you are, and we're a bit scrappy, so we'll find ways to partner with you, and just thrilled again that you could all be here today. Because if we are not focusing on this population where young people are, and particularly in exploring how to help increase their agency so that they can take advantage of economic opportunities, then we're not doing our jobs. And so the purpose of the LEAPS program really was twofold. The first was to focus on youth potential and youth agency and how we can help strengthen those pieces. And the second, it was really about workforce development and education. And as you're going to hear today, there's just so much promise in the work that all of you have been doing. And I just want to applaud all the work that you've been doing, and also all that we will do in the future. Now, IYF's approach to our work under the LEAPS program was actually started with a very simple idea about 2 years ago. And I joined the International Youth Foundation just 2 years ago. And I was so excited when I learned about this program because it was important to go into these communities first and foremost. The simple idea was listen. Listen to what the issues are. Listen to what the needs are. Because as a global organization that's worked for almost 30 years in 90 different countries, going into actually rural areas in the U.S., we had to really undertake the same approaches and methodologies we've used in other countries around the globe. What do people want? what are the communities caring about, and how can we work in partnership, not tell communities what they should do, but work in partnership and help strengthen those communities. And what we heard and we learned over the last couple of years has been very, very, I think, not just important for the communities where we're working, but most importantly for where we will go into the future in partnership, and particularly even working in rural areas. The first thing we heard was, if you want to have local ownership and sustainability, it is really important that there is the collaborative model that we've used all over the world and we've seen all over the world of public-private partnerships, of working with local community organizations, of involving the youth directly in the programs. Because if they are not the voice, if they are not driving, the young people are not driving the programs, then ultimately it won't be successful and it won't be sustainable. And the importance of putting capital within the hands of community organizations, local organizations, establishing those partnerships that will sustain. The second thing we heard as we started this program was, do not duplicate. That there's a lot of work that's actually happening in these areas, but there's a lot of overlap. I was talking to my colleague from the Brookings Institute, you'll hear from later on a panel today on the flight down from Washington yesterday, that often as we see in just global development, there's a lot of duplication. So how do we untangle that? How do we take the stress off the school systems? How do we actually look at where the needs are within a community and how we can bring in others? How can we bring in even others outside of that overstretched staff? And I know many of you are here in the room who are overstretched, right, as school administrators and leaders, community organizations. So how do we bring others in the surrounding area to come in and to really support you? The third thing we learned is that it's workforce development and education. There are a lot of important interventions that we've all used over the years, but we have to take a holistic approach. It is about the wellness and the well-being of young people, and their life is not just work and education. There's a lot of other things that are happening in their world. There are so many other things that young people are dealing with, particularly in rural America, that we have to take into account. And all of us who are working in partnership of how to create those mentoring programs. We were just talking beforehand, and you'll have a chance to hear earlier, a mentor who really is there by your side, even when they can't be there for the last couple months of school, right? But you have that person in your life. And how do we include that holistic approach in our methodology as we move forward? Because often we look at things from a very technical and practical area of workforce development or education or health needs, but it's the holistic well-being of the young person. So I think you'll be excited to really hear more. I know I am about particularly the work that has been undertaken over the last 2 years. And you're going to have an opportunity, we're all going to have an opportunity to hear from practitioners as well as the young people. And as we move forward, remember that these are largely under-resourced areas. And now I'm speaking to the broader audience because I know everyone in this room knows these are under-resourced areas. But for those of you who have not been to the Permian Basin, have not been to Shreveport and some of the areas, they really deserve the recognition, the resourcing, and the support. And we know that every penny we invest, there's a lot of sweat equity that goes into this. Because just to get to a meeting or an event is a half day. It is not like being in urban areas where you can do 6, 7, 8 different things in one day. If you're going to invest, you really have to make that investment in time. So this school year, just to cap off a couple things that happened, 35 schools, universities, college, and government agencies, along with nonprofit organizations, participated in this program. 40 companies joined us in this program, 40. We had more than 50 local adults who volunteered this year alone. We were talking about the importance of volunteerism within our community. It is, I think, a uniquely American thing that we have in volunteerism and the importance of that social capital. And one of the things I love most about this program, and this year alone, 46 high school students were involved in advising leaders and those who were actually making the decisions within their school program. That's phenomenal. And you're going to have a chance to hear more about what these teenage advisory councils have done moving forward. So just to close things out, it's clear that these results are a concerted effort, and it's all of us in this room and beyond that will need to continue to focus on this in the future. And so I hope that you'll take advantage of today, as we talked about, to really use social media to get the word out, because we need more investment and more of the people in this room who have taken the time in order to really make this LEAPS program, I think, a truly unique, a very unique, not more than a program. It's really a movement. And I think if we can turn the work that you all have done into a movement for rural America, it's an incredibly powerful thing that we could all accomplish. And so, speaking of powerful, I had the opportunity to preview a wonderful video that was done to really capture the lessons, and we hope that you as well will share them, and you're going to have an opportunity to hear from some of the stars of this video later on. So.
Growing up, you need friends, you need people contact, and here in a small town, for me, I didn't have any of it.
Hannah, she didn't come from a very good home. She did want to quit school one day, and I went looking for her, actually. Her situation at home was not good.
I've never had a parent or parents there, coming from a rough childhood, so Joanna knew how to deal with that. And I guess her job training too was good with that. I was homeless for a bit, then I went to a shelter, and then I went to a trailer park. I mean, that may have been a leading cause to depression, but I can't say for sure.
Working with International Youth Foundation and their LEAPS program, Communities in Schools is in a community like Balmorhea out in West Texas to help the students that are at risk. There's actually a high at-risk population and a high economically disadvantaged population. LEAPS is about bringing those resources together, bringing points in the community together to work and make an impact on the community as a whole. We come into school, provide the resources to help those students perform well, stay in school, and get graduated out of high school.
My name is Liliana Esmeralda Mental. I am in 9th grade and going to be a sophomore next year. I was bullied for my first through, I want to say now, because I still do get called names. I would go home and I would cry to my mom, and she would just look at me and she would say, everything's going to be fine. And I would sometimes say, it's not going to be fine. Like, no one likes me.
So what we need help from you two is the best way to have a flow. If you're a student coming into a job fair, what would be the best way for you to go from different booth to booth?
If you set up one of them as an entrance and one of them as an exit, then you can have like a U-shaped or shoes.
I've had the amazing opportunity to work with the International Youth Foundation on this journey of finding out what high school students' needs are and helping them to meet those needs. We've been in close contact with them, working on the work fair and being able to see how we can bring options to high school students here.
everybody. Today what we're going to be doing is continuing on with our presentation skills. If you remember, we're going to be looking at all the things that we've learned as far as the visuals, the eye contact, the good voice, so that we don't get tired and have that monotone, dull lull.
Kids in our grade are judgy a lot. And so knowing that already, I really didn't know what to expect. I was very nervous. I was just like, I'm just gonna go in there, give my presentation, and hope for the best.
It really spoke to me because that's what I want to do. I want to become a cosmetologist.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to have your own shop, or do you just want to work for someone?
That's the goal. I have family in Chicago that have their own salon, so that's the goal.
Here at Cuero High School, we like to prepare our students, and we always say we're getting them ready for the future. And the best way to do that is to prepare them for employability as well as education.
The Teen Advisory Committee is an exciting new addition to Step Forward. And we call them our experts because it's very important to us as a partnership to know and love and listen to our children and families that we are here to serve.
Bhavani and I were just thinking we're going to start with an overview of just the TAC and just, you know, how we've come to be established and stuff. This is something we could work on today right now. In our earlier planning stages of the TAC, we really got together and decided to just list out all the issues we've dealt with.
Today was really exciting. It's not often that we get a chance to really talk to our community leaders, and I think we should have more opportunities like this for youth to speak to adults, because that's where change can really happen.
So International Youth Foundation has provided us with the additional resources, the technical assistance, the expertise into this work. Their investment in those ways has just been invaluable.
Okay, back to the presentation. I was so blown away by the amount of people who wanted to talk after.
That's what they needed and wanted, our input, our solutions. But I feel like if without our help, they wouldn't be able to do the things that they do. So it's
they definitely wanted to listen.
Exactly.
Are you glad you decided to stay in school and not drop out like you had initially thought?
Yes.
Yeah?
Thinking about going to college for either computer graphics or paleontology. Without Miss Joanna, I would probably be homeless again. But without someone to talk to, someone just almost like a therapist, I probably would have still been severely depressed. So I'd say they were pretty influential and important in my life.
We're bringing a lot of organizations and different types of components, from big to small, coming from different directions, and we're making an impact. But we got to continue to grow this collaboration, these partnerships, so that we can make an even bigger impact.
I think that rural America is definitely being left behind and not brought to the attention of most people as often as it should be. It's very important that we elevate rural America, because even though it's not maybe as popularized as these other areas, there's still people that matter there, and they still should have a voice and be taken care of.